Start with the nation. Inspector General warns against violence as Labour insists on protest. Jet crashes on Ikeja major road. Immigration arrests Cameroonians seeking Nigerian passports. How Tinubu will end electricity crisis by El Rufai. Senate to revisit CBN Act, says Akpabio. Tribunal reserves judgment in Atiku Obi petitions. Residents defy 2-week sit-at-home call in Southeast. Oyo Labour Unions lock secretariat for second day. And Emefiele gets court's nod to serve bail order on DSS. Okay, which story? We're starting with the nation?
Story. So yesterday afternoon, a lot of us saw the video that had gone viral showing a jet that had crashed into the road in Oba Akran, they say in Ikeja. So it's been confirmed that that incident happened. They say it was a Turbo 5N CCQ jet. It had two occupants, yes, so it had two occupants in it. It was a test flight as well that they were doing, and when it crashed, luckily, as it was going to crash land, people, saw it. CCTV camera took it, and it also crash landed beside a petrol station. People immediately started helping out with fire extinguishers, and I hear that the staff from the fuel station also helped, and they were able to rescue them. People were able to rescue them as well. The governor was at the site. He said that he even mentioned 2 people that helped in rescuing the occupants of the aircraft. They're in hospital getting treatment right now, but they're also going to look into the cause of the crash. As of the time of this report, we don't know what the cause was, but NSIB will be looking into it. The SEMA and all the other agencies also have been thanked for speedy response to the situation. But most of all, also, Nigerians who were there, first responders there, did the right thing immediately.
And I think the governor also acknowledged 2 people. I think the 2 names that he acknowledged that they were the first to actually help.
Oluwafemi and Okweyemi.
Exactly.
2 gallant Nigerian citizens.
Yes.
Thank you. You're a hero.
Yes, they are the heroes of the day.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take the major headlines. So the Inspector General of Police, the acting Inspector General of Police, that is, let me get this, IGP Kayode Egbetokun warned against violence at the planned protest for Labour today. So if you recall, Labour were having meetings with the federal government. According to this report, they're insisting on going ahead with their protest as planned. According to Labour, they said that the protest will start because the relief package unveiled on Monday by Mr. President was insufficient to alleviate the suffering of the Nigerian people. Egbetokun will say that the Nigerian police force reiterates its commitment to ensuring the safety and security of all citizens during the period of the planned protest, as all necessary measures to facilitate the peaceful conduct will be implemented. However, it is hereby reaffirmed that any attempt by miscreants to exploit the situation for violent purposes vis-a-vis vandalism, gangsterism, extortion will be met with a firm, professional, and commensurate lawful approach. So the police will not tolerate any act of breaking up any laws with this protest. Okay? Any other story, Nation?
Yes, I would like to take the story. The headline says, Senate to revisit CBN Act, says Akpabio. And the story is, the Senate yesterday said it would revisit the Central Bank of Nigeria Act to address governance gaps in its structure. And this is stemming from the recommendations of the former CBN Deputy Governor, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, that was nominated and screened by the Senate yesterday. He was asked to prefer solutions to how the CBN can be restructured, and he faulted the lack of comprehensive oversight of the CBN governor. He also said we would not be in this situation if there was a proper oversight and monitoring of the CBN. He also said that the only connecting line to the president in terms of reporting is the governor, and which shouldn't be so. That it's possible in the 5-year course of their administration, the deputy governors do not even get the chance to report to the president, to report any kind of excesses. So it should be monitored. And the Senate president has said that they would,
I think I like that. So not just the CBN governor, the deputies and other executives should be having
access
and once in a while to the president so that they know exactly what's going on.
Absolutely.
The story, I found it very interesting. El Rufai in his, what's the word? They were interviewing, screening, that was what I'm looking for. In his screening, they asked him about the electricity. So it seems like we're tilting towards electricity.
Yeah, power.
And I love the power. I love the way he answered. He spoke about what he feels this administration would do to change the power issue. We have 13,000 megawatts capacity, but we are only producing between 4,000 to 6,000. So he said the first thing to be done was to find out why we are not able to produce the 13,000 and fix it. 80% of what produces for us is gas. So they realize that we don't have enough gas. So sometimes the reason we're not able to produce is we don't have gas supply. And the second phase, he said, was if we finish producing, transmission, there's a challenge. But distribution, it's impossible. What makes all those power shutting down was because we produce beyond what they could move. So the 22 collapse. The power system collapsed 2 times in 2022. He said that, so we need to expand our transmission capacity. Then distribution, that out of the 11 distribution companies, only 3 survived a stress test. And about 6 of them have already been taken over by banks that they borrowed money from. So we can see that the issues in our power sector is multifaceted. And I loved the way he addressed it one after the other. So I'm looking forward to seeing what
We're pegging a square hole.
Yeah.
See, everybody's talking about. Moving on to the Punch. Let's take the major headlines. Subsidy talks. Labour shuns federal government, begins protest as oil workers down tools. FG orders probe as test flight plane crashes on Lagos Road. Task force officials extort 35,000 naira from motorists on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Foreign trained doctors' mass failure worsens Nigeria's manpower crisis. For real? 500 illegal courier operators under prosecution, says NIPOS. Tinubu sends second ministerial list today. Direct interventions in power sector hit 7 trillion naira, says federal government. Niger, Russia, Burkina Faso, Mali oppose ECOWAS military intervention. Okay, which story we're starting with?
So they say Motorist Stanley Chukwedo is lamenting that task force officials who claim to be working for the Ifo local government area of Ogun State extorted him of 35,000 naira. He was explaining that on Friday on his way to work from Ibafo, when he got to the Kara Bridge on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, there was traffic as usual, and so he tried to make a diversion, and then these people, jumped out of the, and got into his car, accusing him of different things. So he was not taking the right way, he was going against traffic, and he says he wasn't. He actually was going the way he was meant to go. He was trying to explain. So they said that he had followed them to the office. By the time they got to a place, he said, there were about 4 of them. They first asked him for 150. In the end, they took 35,000 naira from him, and they used the POS, they said, and he paid into a Palm Pay account. And he was wondering, he was like, how would government funds be going into this sort of account? Did not have the for local government, but they issued him a receipt saying that he had gone against traffic. He said, but I didn't go against traffic. Anyway, 35,000, they say for being a gentleman, they would have taking more from him. And they say this is not the first time that it's happened. The local government chairperson was, she was approached and she said this is not the first time she's heard this, and they have sorted it out. These people do not work for the local government. So there are some touts on that road that are extorting people of their money. Yes, so we need to figure that out. Yes, probably have some colored uniforms or something.
Or those reflective jackets.
Yes.
Okay, so let me take this story. 500 illegal courier and logistics operators are being prosecuted by the police for not obtaining operating licenses from Nigerian Postal Service. The general manager of the team, the courier, let me see, Dr. Dotun Shonde, disclosed this to Punch on Tuesday, saying that they've actually started clamping down on, not just in Kwara State, across various states, Edo, Rivers, Ogun, Oyo, Lagos, FCT, and many other states. They're enforcing the law to ensure that every courier service is properly registered with NIPOS. And they started this clampdown. It had begun to clamp down operations on licensed illegal courier express. I didn't realize that they had to have a license.
Yes,
so they've actually impounded. They've impounded their motorbikes until they come and pay. Because many of them, they just start the business without going through the right process of getting certification and licensing. Tamola?
I actually have the Niger story, although I saw it in the Sun, but since it's here, I can just take it. So the headline is, Junta-led Burkina Mali won against military intervention in Niger. Junta-led Burkina Faso and Mali yesterday warned that any military intervention in Niger to restore the deposed president, Mohamed Bazoum, would be considered a declaration of war against their two countries. So it's looking like the countries that have been recently taken over by coup plots are trying to form like an African power bloc. And they are threatening, so they are threatening the ECOWAS leaders to say, if you send your military into Niger, we are going to fight back.
War.
Yes, they are declaring war. And while this is going on, the European nations are beginning to evacuate their citizens from those areas, even though the U.S. has not fully committed to evacuating theirs. And that's human rights lawyer, Mr. Femi Falana-Osan, he's recommending that the ECOWAS does not send the military into Niger. Instead, they should use some economic sanctions instead, because we do not know if this war is going to be hijacked by some European nations that have interest in the African nations. So that's how that is going so far.
Please, we don't want to send our Nigerian military. We have
Exactly.
Sorry,
and these people, some of these Nigerians are actually flying the Russian flag to say that they have support from Russia. But Russia is condemning them, saying that, no, we do not have anything to do with this. So we do not understand the world politics going on here, but
so
I pray for the African nation.
So I'll quickly take the story about foreign doctors. Apparently, a few doctors that are Nigerian citizens want that for you to work as a medical doctor in Nigeria, you must write the Nigerian exams. And they said this is obtainable everywhere around, most countries around the world. So there's a Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria that writes exams for Nigerians that want to practice medicine in Nigeria. But many Nigerians go to Ukraine, Sudan, Cyprus, Egypt, the Caribbean, Russia, and all of that to study medicine. And they come to Nigeria to write the exams, and they have a 70% failure rate.
Oh.
Yes. And the reverse is the case for Nigerians that go and write to study, to work in the UK. So though it might seem like the educational sector isn't as good as we would like it to be, they said they will not jeopardize the health of Nigerians and others living within this country by letting people that are not qualified to practice. We will not trade quality over quantity. That is for those Nigerians that are coming from other countries to serve in the medical sector within Nigeria. It was an interesting read. You know, we're not as bad as, you know, they should not stop.
We already knew that, just that we don't like to admit it. All our people go here, they try to write exams, they pass, and they move on. They act, oh, Nigerian education is bad. But all of you are becoming doctors abroad. Make it a hot topic now.
Because I have an opinion.
Daily Sun. Anxiety as tribunal reserves judgment. Troops destroy more IPOB and ESN camps in Anambra, Imo Forest, and 5 injuries were also injured. No going back on nationwide protest, vows NLC. Senate screens Edun, Umahi, El-Rufai, 11 other ministerial nominees yesterday. Turbojet crashes in major Lagos road. No fatalities recorded, thank God for that. FG spent over 3 trillion to save power sector from collapses, NESD. And Nigeria's foreign reserves in their situation, Senate warns. Okay.
Uproar in the Senate.
according to the headline, but the story is that during the ministerial confirmation, when it was El-Rufai's turn, and he had finished giving like a brief detail about himself, Senator representing Kogi West, Sunday Karimi, raised a point of order. So he said that the governor that he had performed well as FCT minister and as governor, but there's a petition against him bordering on national security and national unity. And so he was asked to respond to that. But the Senate president intervened and said that he didn't have to respond to it, that for all the others also who had been briefed, there were petitions against them, but that was not the place to discuss the petitions. That after they've been screened, they will now be sent back to the presidency and or security agencies who will further vet these petitions and then finally, before they are confirmed. So he just...
So he didn't respond?
So I did not hear the uproar. No, so he did not respond to that.
But I don't know if there was uproar among the senators, but based on the reports, it didn't look like there was an uproar.
So our gallant officers entered the forest and declared war on the IPOB members. Soldiers on internal security operations went in on the illegal sit-at-home declared by IPOB, and they took them on and at their logistics bases in the various parts within Anambra and Imo states. According to Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, he said that operation was carried out by the combined troops of the 82 Division Nigerian Army. The raid took place on Monday, and the troops were alerted to the violent activities of the irredentist group enforcing the illegal 2-week sit-at-home. During the raid, IPOB camps in Eketu, Osomogu, Lilu, Mother camps, and so many of these were all raided, and were able to detonate the improvised explosive devices, also known as the Ogbonigwe. And unfortunately, 5 members of the soldiers, 5 of the soldiers actually were injured. Operatives were injured, but the Nigerian Army were courageous, and they were able to take down these various camps of the ESN and the IPOB. According to them, said they overpowered the irredentist group in the firefight, compelling them to abandon their position as they fled with gunshot wounds into nearby bushes. Further cordon and search of the hideouts by the troops led to the arrest of 5 fleeing members of the group and the recovery of 1 IPOB flag. So they were able to arrest 5 of them, and I think they're putting a lot of pressure on them to ensure that this sit-at-home is not enforced any longer.
Even some of the residents actually defying the 2-week sit-at-home because they're crying of hunger.
How can you sit at home for 2 weeks?
Economic stagnation.
For children, for a lot of Nigerians that are living with an income they make on a daily basis, it's terrible. So the Nigerian foreign reserve has gone into negative, and that came out through the Senate Chief Whip, Mohammed Ali Ndume, when he was questioning the ministerial nominee of Ogun State, Adebayo Olawale Edun, who is currently functioning as the president's advisor on monetary policies. And he said something must be done urgently, that 95% of our revenue goes into debt servicing, and that our external reserve has gone into negative. What that means is we don't have an external reserve. So in response from Mr. Wale Edun, he broke down the fact that the major crisis, of course, from the past administration, and in the 2 months of power, a lot has been done to sort of try to correct the issue. He spoke about how they are hoping to correct the issue, stabilizing, putting tech, that Lagos State was able to generate increased revenue because of the use of technology. Yes. And that if on a national level we infuse technology, we can increase our internally generated revenue. Then he spoke about the dollar and the plan to stabilize find a way to stabilize the dollar, and over time we would see major...
There's some conversations here, I'm like, really? You mean we haven't done that?
Yeah.
Like we're just discussing it?
It was like the president, Ashwaji, then had introduced Oracle into the Lagos State government at the time, back then. And that's what helped them.
Do we have it on the federal level now?
Generating of the revenue that they're celebrating today. I'm surprised that many states haven't really replicated that in this way. Okay, let's move on. Let's Vanguard. How many minutes do we have? We don't have any more minutes. Let's find a story we've not taken at all. Ministerial appointments. Okay, we discussed that. Tinubu Court reserves judgment on Atiku Obi's petitions. Court grants Emefiele leave to serve DSS DG under transferring him to prison after bail. Will defend Nigeria's democracy and constitution, says Army Chief Lagbaja. Subsidy lifts ban on fuel supply to border communities, Senate tells federal government. And 4 persons rescued as plane crashes in Lagos. Is there any story we've not taken at all?
I think we've covered.
Okay, let's move on now quickly to Tribune, if we have any more time. Let's find a story. Freed Ondo kidnap victims. Our abductors collected 2.2 million naira ransom, rice and cigarettes. Lifts ban on fuel supply to border communities, Senate tells federal government. IGP talks tough as NLC gear up for their protests. And military can't handle Nigerian problem, Agbaje political scientist. Okay.
The dollar keeps our exchange rates. We're still having a major crisis, 21% fall, and a difference of about that same amount between official window and the parallel market. And I remember about 2 weeks ago when we took this story that in the paper I carried why we are going to continue to have this issue, because there are still some things on exclusive list. So we have just sort of deregulated and floated. We haven't completely floated. if it is something that can be resolved, let's remove those things from the list so that everybody has access to the official window and then the scarcity of dollar.
Okay, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.